Hi everyone, good day. Thank you so much for tuning to my channel. It's a pleasure to have you here today. So basically, today I'm going to be talking about my thoughts or my opinions in regards to a recent interview between Iyinoluwa and that's Iyinoluwa of Andela and Arise News. And why I decided to touch on this topic was basically because from his interview, I found some things quite misleading. There was quite some misconceptions from his comments. And from my experience being the son of a manufacturer, as well as having a sister in the yogurt manufacturing space, I think I have a better opinion in this light. So I'll be playing the video now just for you guys to hear what he said. Though the video is quite long, so I'm going to actually put the link in my the description so you could actually watch the full video. However, I'll just be playing a short clip, and I'm going to be stating a few of his comments that do not sit well with me, and the reasons why, as well as my opinions and ways I believe that Nigeria's economy can actually improve. So please stay tuned as you listen to the video.
Dying, that we will understand that these reforms are killing people. Because I get what you're doing, Ian. I get the trickle-down economics. The currency is cheaper. There's been a devaluation now. But the argument is it never trickles down. The deregulation... That's not true. No, hang on a minute. And I'm going to give you a empirical stat.
Okay, tell me.
Under Reagan, when Reagan deregulated the oil sector, America pushed up child poverty. The contestation between the Republicans and the Democrats all these years has always been the case of trickle-down economics that never really trickled down.
It pushed up child poverty in the short term.
And I get this.
But if you look in the 90s when Bill Clinton came, you saw the reverb effect.
No, because Bill Clinton pushed forward to more growth.
Because he had the fiscal room to do so.
More capital injection in the economy. He brought about more projects. He solidified
because he had the fiscal room to do so.
Industry. But it doesn't go to the poor people. So when you look at it, I get this. Yeah, money is cheap. It's going to favor you people. It's not going to favor the poor people out of the street.
I don't think that's true. Let me
people out of the street.
Let me do some math. Let me just do some math. Right? Yeah. $10,000, right? Of investment into the country at 306, right, is about 30 million, if my math is correct, right? The same $10,000, I'm sorry, no, it's about 3 million, sorry, at the time, 306 naira to the dollar. That same 10,000 at 1,670 is about 16 million. At the old minimum wage, which is where I personally have my own quibbles, we need to raise the minimum rate so that employers learn to be more productive. Labor wages are too cheap in Nigeria.
Manufacturing is saying they can't even pay.
They need to automate and hire less people.
No, wait.
They are not innovating.
No, wait a minute.
That is their problem, not the government.
Wait a minute. Did you see the minimum wage conversation when it was going on?
I did.
Manufacturers and employers of labor said they couldn't even pay. Even this 70,000 is a struggle for them because, one, you have no economic fecundity. There's no economic viability as we speak.
It's not true. The costs are high. They are not innovating.
The economy is doing so well and people are doing so well.
No, it's not about the economy doing so well. Yes. It's about productivity.
Where's the productivity in the economy?
Well, it should come from the employers. It should come from the business people. They are not doing their jobs. Look, let me finish my math argument because there's a tendency to make arguments that are skewed to one side, but not to actually think about the economy in a macro sense.
Show me the productivity.
So, no, just listen to me. At the new minimum wage with 60 million naira, you can employ 85 more people than you would at a 30,000 minimum wage with the new exchange rate. What we need to
discounting for inflation?
Well, we're not. Inflation is a function of supply. It's not a function of money. If you like, create as much money as you like.
Just land your point.
So my larger point is, at the end of the day, the economy needs to be more productive. The employers are not as productive as they need to be. That's why they're hiring people. The people themselves are not as skilled as they need to be, which is why we have this problem. The exchange rate will not fix that. Even if the exchange rate is 1 naira to $1, these issues will not go away. This is hard work. Employers must do. Manufacturers must do. The schools, the universities must too. They must move with technology. They must increase productivity. The exchange rate is just baselining us with the rest of the world.
So guys, I assume you've watched the video. So right before I get into sharing my opinions and my disagreements with a couple of his statements, which I'm going to be listing them and then being counterintuitive about them, I would like to acknowledge that Iyinoluwa has actually contributed greatly to the tech ecosystem in terms of talent management, payments, and the like. So I really appreciate and acknowledge your contributions. However, in this interview, actually sounded like you were speaking from an idealistic point of view, frankly, from a fictional perspective. And this is why. So now I'm going to be listing a couple of the statements that you made and why I do not exactly agree with your opinions. So first off, from one of your statements, you said an increased devaluation in Nigerian money implies that money is cheaper, so manufacturers can pay more salaries and be more productive. Now, this particular statement I consider very vague and frankly incorrect, and this is why I would say so. Now, yes, with the heightened devaluation in naira, this doesn't make naira cheap for the local manufacturers, but rather cheaper for the foreign investors. So, if you are saying from the perspective of naira devaluation is going to attract more foreign investors, then that would have been a better and more explanatory perspective. But now you're saying that because of a devalued currency, most Nigerian manufacturers would be able to pay more in salaries. I think that is frankly incorrect because that doesn't sit well with the economics. Because imagine someone that had 20 million before at the rate of 306, and then dollar increased to about 1,600. That's like almost 500% less than what he had originally. So that's my first opinion on that. And then my second opinion is you said something regarding and then also, have you also considered that about 60% of Nigerian manufacturers actually import their raw materials from outside or from abroad? Now, the question I want to ask now is, if someone is going to import their products from abroad or their raw materials from abroad, we all know that raw materials are hardly ever processed in Nigeria. Now, obviously, for them to do this importation, they require foreign currency because you don't pay in local currency. And if there's going to be a requirement for foreign currency, now ask yourself, how much do we have in foreign reserves, and how much is the demand for these foreign currencies? Mind you, the influx of foreign currencies into Nigeria is very low because Nigeria has a low export power. And now, if Nigeria is solely dependable or dependent on imports with a low export power, then that means it is as good as 10 to 1 because now it's like 10 people bidding for one major lender of foreign currency. So I feel that this you actually had a misconception in this light. So then your second statement, you also said Nigerian manufacturers and schools and so on should adopt more skilled employees and adopt automation to reduce production costs. First off, I actually laughed, like I laughed head over heels when you said this. And the reason why I did that was because automation, come on, like when you're talking about automation, like you're looking at this country doesn't even have stable electricity. Like there's no proper electricity to be able to power these automations. And you and I know, based on the fact that you're in the tech industry, that automations require a constant or steady level of power supply. Secondly, you're talking about skills. Now, do you remember that, or do you? I hope you know that these automations you're talking about require a very, very skilled set of individuals to operate them, to maintain them, and to make sure that they are optimal. Now, most of these companies that produce these automation systems are not in Nigeria. So that simply means you are going to be importing foreign talent to manage these automations. That is creating unemployment for Nigerians. And at the same time, most of these foreign staffs that are going to be, or foreign experts that are going to be imported to maintain these automations are going to be charged and paid in foreign currency. So that simply implies that the demand for foreign currency would increase. So I think that is something that is quite laughable and you should have considered when making this statement. Secondly, from the point of, I'm going to be talking from the point of revenue. Now, the fact that you're in the VC space I am very aware that you would have an understanding of the current revenue margin or revenue margin for both SMEs and manufacturers. But then, if not, I would like to state that obviously for my audience. So first of all, the average business or the average SME in Nigeria earns between $100 to $600 monthly, and the average manufacturer earns like $5,000 to about $20,000 monthly. Now, this is gross revenue, because now you also got to look at administrative costs and a lot of other costs. And after this administrative cost and all these other costs, an average SME would earn around 60 to $100 monthly, and a manufacturer will earn around $1,000 to about $1,000 to $2,000 monthly. Now, in this or with this observation, how exactly is a manufacturer or a school supposed to maximize optimization? Because these machines or these optimized technologies cost millions and millions of dollars. So that simply means that there's going to be more demand for foreign currencies. So I do not agree with you on this perspective, but then I stand to be corrected then again. Now, the third statement you made was this. You said inflation is a factor of supply. First of all, that is a very vague statement and also has misconception. However, it's partly correct. But then, if you look at it from this perspective, inflation is a factor of both supply and demand. Now, in the case of Nigeria, because obviously there are different types of inflation, but in the case of Nigeria, it is a demand-driven inflation. Now, let me explain. When you're talking about inflation, now we're looking at the cost of naira at the moment, and then we are also looking at the demand for naira. Now, like I said earlier, a lot of manufacturers export and import from abroad, which is the demand for naira is a lot higher for local manufacturers. And because the demand is a lot higher for local manufacturers, there is a demand-based inflation. Because now, when a lot of these manufacturers are depending on one lender or a few lenders to supply foreign currencies to them, that increases the interest rates, or that increases the value of the cost of this money. And then once the cost gets high, the factor of cost of production and the factor of cost of supply chain trickles down to the average consumer. So this is where you have the situation of a demand-driven inflation. Now, I'll also give you a perfect example. For instance, let's talk about the average business or the average manufacturer that imports his raw materials from other countries. Now, look at someone that imported at the rate of 309. Let's say he was buying 2 containers at the rate of 309 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and then now he's buying at the rate of 1,600. So imagine every month he bought a container for 2 million naira. Now, with the current exchange rate, that takes the current value of the goods he used to buy for 20 million to 545% increase. That simply means for him to buy exactly that 2 containers, he has to get a loan or source for other means to pay for these goods. Now, this simply means that if he continues to use 20 million every month subsequently, he has lost about 82% purchase power. That simply means that he can only purchase less than let's say about 17 to 19% of what he was buying for. That's what 20 million can actually buy for him now. So then again, is money expensive for him, or is money expensive, or is money cheap for him? So I think you have to ask yourself that question. Is manufacturing cheaper for Nigerian manufacturers, and how is it possible that they can be able to be more productive in an economy where money is actually expensive for them? Now, fourthly, I would like to talk about this, and this particularly is one of the things that icks me about Nigerians generally. We like to use very big words like to feel or to show a level of intellect. However, you said something about trickle-down economy, but in my own understanding of Nigeria's current economy, trickle-down economy is not a bad idea, but it is almost inconsequential or ineffective. And this is why. Number one, the average Nigeria has about 70% of its businesses as SMEs. How many of these businesses can even afford to pay taxes? So let's say we even give them all the tax waivers possible. How many of them can even afford to pay for employees? So now I ask this question: if the average business is earning around $500 or $600 to $1,000 monthly, then explain to me how, after their deductions, administrative costs, and all that, how they are able to pay and how they are able to employ more people. So, guys, in my opinion, basically, I feel that rather than Nigeria focus on trickle down economics, I feel that this is quite okay. However, it is not sustainable. It's quite ineffective for Nigeria. Rather, I would suggest, or in my own opinion, that Nigeria focuses more on better perspectives of improving our foreign reserve by doing the following. Like, number one, creating better and more adequate policies to increase foreign investments. And that simply means when there are more foreign investment, there are more job opportunities, more job employment. Now, number two, we should adopt a form of expatriate taxation. Now, I feel that Nigeria is not supposed to be even focusing on natural resources at this point. I mean, they exported oil for millions and millions of years, or for thousands of years, or whatever. But at this point, like, where is it getting us to? So now, we don't even process most of these natural resources or these raw materials in Nigeria. Rather, we export them, process them abroad, and then import them 5 times or 10 times the price, which doesn't make any logical sense. But I feel that Nigeria has more expats, and Nigeria should focus its energy more in exporting more expats to foreign countries. Let our natural resources be human resource. Let us export more and maximize revenue on exported talent. I feel that this way we can be able to improve foreign reserves, we can be able to increase the amount of foreign investments coming in, and then also channel these investments into optimization and improvement or loans or infrastructures for factories and manufacturers. This is my opinion, and I love to hear opinions from you guys. So thank you all so much for tuning in. And I'd like to say once again, this is not a form of criticism, rather my opinion. And I also like to say once again that Iyinoluwa, we really appreciate your contribution to the tech ecosystem, and I would really love to hear your contribution on this as well. So thanks a lot, everyone, and thank you all for tuning into my channel today. Have a nice day.